COSATU's Mike Shingange says the country's inequalities were realities that Chris Hani fought hard to eradicate. Shingange was speaking at the wreath-laying ceremony today held in honor of the late struggle icon. He says Hani fought to eliminate the high levels of poverty and unemployment that South Africa faces today.
At a time when the World Bank has just released a report that characterizes South Africa as the most unequal country in the world. When the Statistics South Africa have released that the unemployment has actually reached over 50%. And these are the inequalities and the social ills that Comrade Chris Hani was fighting to eliminate. Half of the country's lives live in poverty or a category called near poverty. The working class and the working poor are priced out of the health care system. The schools do not adequately educate our children, and the majority of whom live without adequate food and or clean water.
Joining us to remember his legacy is South African Communist Party First Deputy General Secretary Solly Mapaila. Mr. Mapaila, welcome to Newsfeed PM. Now, at the time of South Africa's transition into democracy, Hani decided to resign from the ANC structures and concentrate his efforts on building the SACP. Do you think that his vision of wanting the SACP to be a party that is truly democratic and really be a force in post-apartheid South Africa that is its intention of fighting for the working class and the poor, is that vision being realized?
Well, thank you very much. I think he certainly would have articulated the post-apartheid scenario for South Africa in which there will be no poor people. We can have a society of equals. People who will have access to health services across the board, irrespective of their status in society or their means. But the state or the public sector will guarantee that they have that people will have access to clean running water, to education and sanitation and other basic services. And of course, society will transform along democratic lines, not along the basis of who owns what in terms of the means of production or capital as it comes out. So his legacy remained very important for us to articulate and to take forward. And we hope many young people can join up in the ideas that he presented, because today we continue to see the spectacular failure of the capitalist system that has not registered any progress for humanity except to elevate a few amongst the majority. So we are articulating, which he did, a system that embraces everyone in society, so that whoever doesn't have anything, nobody special should have that, particularly when it comes to basic rights.
We are seeing a lot of cases of corruption spurring throughout the country, coming from a lot of the parties that are leading us. Knowing what Chris Hani believed in, what do you think would have been his take on the spate of corruption from our leaders in this day in history?
Yeah, look, not much doing a lot of prophecies about what he would have said or done, but basically looking at his value system, and the value system of our own liberation movement. It's a system that is against corruption. It's a system that is selfless towards servicing the people. As we know, this liberation movement headed by the ANC paid the greatest sacrifices, leading the people's liberation struggle amongst many other revolutionaries from different backgrounds and different political persuasions. But within this liberation movement headed by the ANC, they sacrificed a lot for the freedom that we enjoy today. And Chris Hani was one of those that when he died, President Mandela declared that South Africa, his death will not become a mere statistic. And he insisted, together with the collective leadership of the alliance, that we must get a date to vote for the majority to exercise their rights, to express many centuries of struggle by our people who were fighting against colonialism and later on apartheid, now to express their full choice. They did that, and they gave us a democratic government, and that government cannot be allowed to be corrupt. Hence the party is his own party, called for interventions when we realized that many things were going wrong, we were the first to call politically for the setup of a commission of inquiry into state capture or allegations of state capture and corruption, which finally was endorsed through the public protector, then Advocate Solly Mapaila, in a later ruling. And of course, we have seen how the government has shown commitment to fight against corruption. But corruption and its fight is a program for all of South Africa. We should fight corruption in the public sector as well as in the private sector and mobilize all of society not to participate in corruption or to pay services, to pay what their services that they are due from government officials through bribes, but they must pay their own services that they utilize from the public sector so that those services can be continued, but not to get services corruptly. That is a collective effort for all of us, and I think that Comrade Chris will join in that battle.
Another battle that we are seeing is that of the protests that have erupted across the country, and especially in Deep Sloot, with people fighting amongst themselves, whether we are fighting illegal foreigners occupying spaces within our country, or we are fighting crime. As the SACP, what is your stance on the latest developments, especially around Africans fighting amongst themselves? You did make mention of having means to production and ensuring that people are participants within the economy, and of course the lack of that does lead to some of these activities.
First, we want to appreciate the fact that all of us must appreciate that Africans can never be foreigners in their own continent. That's where we should start, and we should take an injunction of the Organization of African Unity, which was established by liberation heroes, our forefathers, from all across the continent, to pull together and to assist African countries to unite and to actually not be divided by the colonial borders set by imperialists and colonialists on this continent. So that's the first point of departure. And also that as Africans, we must love ourselves and stop this thing of self-hate, of thinking that an African from another country is inferior because of his nationality. We are one people and we should remain so. Of course, the issues that have been raised, we don't obviously agree with this operation that is meted against foreign nationals in our country. What we can say, like in any other country, is that whoever is in this country illegally must be held to account through the law. In other words, if we stay with people who are our neighbors and so forth, and we know that they are illegally in the country, we should report that to the police, not take the law into our own hands. Crime must be fought across the boards through the relevant authorities, through the relevant system. That is why we've always encouraged our communities to set up street committees, block committees, community policing forums, so that all these institutions can work with the police to root out crime in our localities from where we stay, in villages and everywhere else. And therefore, there's no justification whatsoever to target foreign nationals as if they are the only criminals in this country. We must fight criminals, even of South African criminals.
Thank you very much. That is the South African Communist Party First Deputy General Solly Mapaila giving us his account of what Chris Hani would have thought of South Africa today. Now,